Why do you think he decided today to announce this, and why do you think he is doing this now?
Well, I think we saw just last week that Senator John Thune endorsed President Trump. And as we know, these 2/3 of the Senate conference, GOP conference, have endorsed President Trump. But, we know that there's been some tension between President Trump and Mitch McConnell, where they haven't even spoken for 3 years. So, look, I think for Mitch McConnell, after we've seen the health issues that he's experienced, plus the fact that he really truly is, I would say, has become an unpopular leader. We had a CPAC straw poll where 89% of the activists pretty much said that Mitch McConnell is not doing a good job. I think all of those elements all combined, I think at this point there is a sense that it was Mitch McConnell's time to go.
Yeah, the Thune endorsement was obviously a major revelation there. It was, some banter, Doug, that Mitch McConnell would come out and endorse Trump as well. We haven't had a reaction yet from Trump on his big announcement today. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of new faces in Congress, and now we add Mitch McConnell to the list.
There will be. I mean, I agree with Mercedes. I think that over time, I think Mitch McConnell has become more and more apart from the very GOP base, and even among many of his own colleagues in the Republican caucus there in the Senate. And I think that's made it very difficult. And I think he was from a different generation. There's been things that I've disagreed greatly with Mitch McConnell on a regular basis, and there's things he's done very well. He did very well with the judgeships under Donald Trump. There was a lot of things that we can point to that where he actually has helped this country, but then there's a lot of ways too that I think from the people who see where we're headed as a country that the same old ways are not probably the best ways. It surprises me he's doing it now a little bit, but I think Mercedes may be onto something, that this is a chance for him to sort of fade into the background, not have to get tied up into presidential politics, because he'll just serve out his time till November and be done, and there's not that much expected of him to go forward going on. But again, we're seeing a generational torch passed here. It'll be now interesting to see who emerges as the person to take the mantle from him, and I think that's going to be a really interesting fight there within the Senate GOP.
Yeah. It will. Yeah, and I think the question is why now? Obviously, the big story we were looking at today was Hunter Biden, and then we saw Joe Biden go in for his physical, not a cognitive test. We have this major breaking story as well. We saw some issues with Mitch McConnell where he was freezing up. Again, right. Mercedes, he didn't mention any specific reason of why he would be stepping down, but obviously we do have many will say we have older people in Congress. We have an aging, Congress, and this is part of it. And we also see some major changes at the RNC. So I think for conservatives, and we just came off, pretty epic CPAC here. Overall, there is a new wave here when it comes to who will be representing not just the GOP, but conservatives, the RNC. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of optimism about the future.
Right. And this is a time for there to be the change. We are entering into the general election season. All eyes, all focus, all energy, all money should be focused on getting a Republican president into the White House. And in this case, we're seeing President Donald Trump dominate the field, and he's already in the general election, focus at this point. So I think for Mitch McConnell, it's his time to step aside. The party has changed. It's really evolved. Where it wasn't the way it was back in the 1980s or even the 1990s. And I think the change can be very positive. It's got to be reflective of where the movement is at this point in time. And quite frankly, I think for Mitch McConnell, he served his purpose. And there needs to be a move towards new leadership all around.
Does he go out with a big endorsement of Donald Trump, Doug? Does he, kind of mend fences, if you will, or, come out and say, this is the time for us to unify behind Donald Trump?
That might be later on. I don't see that happening now, and I think this is part of the reason why you're seeing this move, now to the general election. Look, folks, we're getting ready, and I think Mercy knows this as well. We're getting ready for the longest general election we've had in really 100 years. It's the first time in modern politics that we've had two incumbents going at this, and it's time for us all to focus because we need the presidency. We've also, as he made mention in his speech, we need to flip the Senate back to the Republicans so that when Donald Trump is back in the White House, we can get our appointments through, we can get our confirmations done. So it's a big year for doing that, and it's going to require a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of tasking between the Senate leadership, the House leadership, and the RNC leadership, and then the groups coming together that make up the grassroots. We've got to focus on winning these elections. This is not a maybe kind of thing anymore. We've got to make sure we do this, and I think this is where we're seeing this.